let's talk about a few different types of cuts. The first one is going to be the rose cut. So if I have, you know, a branch and I want to get it off, what I'm going to do is put my finger, most of the time, on the spine. So just for a little more info, spine, tip, belly, handle, and then there's some more parts, but the most important. And basically go around in a circle. And the blade is doing the work, not me. Knives are made for slicing. They're not made for pushing through wood. So just kind of move around it and slice. And what happens is that I'm creating this kind of rosette. And when it comes off, it will look like a flower. So we have sort of our flower-looking rose cut here, and a nice clean end that I can either, you know, clean to a point or flatten out. So this is a really nice way to take a branch off of a tree, for example. One thing I forgot to mention, whenever you're not using your knife, the best place for it to be is back in its sheath. If I leave it in a log, I could, you know, trip over it, cut myself this way. If I put it in the sand, it might get eaten by the sand monsters, or stepped on and cut the bottom of your foot, which is even worse. So when you're not using it, put it back in your sheath, easy breezy. I'm just going through different knives just for fun. We have a few options when we're just kind of cutting straight pieces of wood. I can push forward. I can keep my arm in place and pull back. Or I can do a combo, and that's really a power stroke, right? So I'm starting in together and pulling out, and you can remove a lot of wood this way. Also nice too if one thing is getting tired and, you know, you want to change it up, but the point is to make sure that you're slicing and in control versus pushing, which does nothing. We have to slice with our blade, okay? So that's one stroke. The next thing I want to do, well, it's kind of a big piece of wood, but why not, is I want to show you how to billet something. So I have this here because if I just put my, you know, stick in the sand, it's going to continue to drop, and I want a flat level balancing point. I need some kind of a baton, some type of a strong stick that's not going to break against the back of my knife. What I'm going to go ahead and do is put my knife in my non-dominant hand, place my knife pretty close to where the handle is, pick the place that I want to split this piece of wood, grab my billet, and begin by hitting right over the top or towards the back. So one thing that's good to know is, you know, maybe I'll switch it. This is kind of at an angle. It's kind of hard to keep that flat, right? This side is a little flatter, so maybe we'll do that. I have some manipulation available to me. If it feels like something is kind of going off this way, I can kind of turn the handle in the other direction. Take your time. Once it's in there, you can go ahead and hit closer towards the tip and split a piece of wood. So sagebrush is a great wood to make a fire set out of. It's not actually easy to split sagebrush because it can be really twisty, but that worked out really well. So yay us. So that's billeting. The next thing we can do is plane. With planing, I'm actually going to take my knife and put the blade facing away from me. I'm going to stick the tip into, you know, my nice piece of wood here. Take my billet once again. I'm going to pound the bottom of the knife. And I want to go far enough in that I feel really confident that this knife isn't going to come out. That feels pretty good. One thing that's cool about setting out my wool VersaCloth right now is that I'm catching all my wood shavings, which is great because then I have it for, you know, my tinder nest or for some quick kindling, and it's all right there. I'm also not leaving a mess all over the ground, which is pretty cool. So on this sagebrush, I can kind of, you know, peel off some of the back of this, and we have great fire making material. And let's say that I want to really smooth out this surface. Grab with my non-dominant hand and basically just pull. And I'm trying to get a flat surface. The larger the angle, the more wood I can take off. The smaller the angle, the less wood that I'll take off, and the flatter that surface will become. So I can even kind of just rub up against it if I'm really trying to file. If I want to take a lot of wood, just increase the angle. And so that's planing. This is really nice if you want to make square corners on something. It's also a really safe way to cut. You know, we talked about that sort of circle and your follow through. So long as my hand doesn't go down towards the blade, there's really nothing unsafe about this. The only unsafe thing that can happen is if for some reason my blade comes out altogether, which is why you take the time to really build it into this piece of wood. When you're done with that, you have your nice smooth edges, getting for a perfect fire board here. When you remove your knife, you want to be careful. So you jiggle it back and forth until it loosens up, release it, and then put it back in its sheath. Those are sort of the kind of four main styles of cutting, I guess. We have the rosette to get wood off of branches and things like that. We have the variety of just push and pull strokes, and then the power stroke of the combo. We have our splitting of wood by building it, and then we have planing, which is great for flattening out.